Greetings, survivors. Some people have been asking me how I made the map reviews for the pre-generated maps in Alpha 18. And I use a combination of software for generating map reviews, including some scripts. But you can actually get a more simplified preview that covers most of the things you might want from the map review. uh, using a software. Now, I tried a few different softwares. I know you can do that on Photoshop. You can do this with Photoshop with either older version of Photoshop that is no longer being sold, or with the cloud Photoshop that requires you to pay a monthly fee. So I'm not going to cover that. Um, you can do this with GIMP, and GIMP is free software. So you can go to gimp.org and download that and install it. It works on Mac, it works on Windows, it works on Unix, on Linux. Just download it and install it, and you can then generate a map like this. So this is pre-gen 01. You have most of the features. You have like terrain elevation. You have water, though the water is not precise. You have the roads, and you have the biomes. So we are going to look into how to do that using. We're going to work on Pregen 02 map. Actually, no. Let's do Pregen 03. Uh, so to begin with, you start GIMP. This is GIMP. And you go into File, New. You need, oh, I can do a template, interesting. You need an image size, right? So that depends on what's the size you need for the image. What's the map size? And pre-gen are 8K maps. 8K maps are 8192. 4K maps are 4096. 6K maps are 6144. 16K maps are 16384. But anyway, 8K maps are 8192. And you go into advanced options here, maybe. Uh, there really isn't anything you need to do this. Just make sure precision is 16 bits. Now, this creates an image which is bigger than the than what the default preference accepts. So you have to come here on preference, system resources, and there is this maximum new image size. It defaults to 128 megabytes. Now I switched that to 4 gigabytes on my system. I have enough memory to work with that, but maybe you need 1 gigabyte. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how much you need to work on that. I just know that 128 is not going to be enough. But anyway, 180, 18192 with width and height, and advanced option 16 bits. Okay, and there's the image. So I have a background here. I'm not really worried about the background. You can delete this layer. I just wanted a new image. Um, so delete layer here. Yeah, don't care about that. Now, from here on, I'm gonna do open as new layer, open as layers to add images um, to this. Now, you need to go to the 7 Days to Die directory. So you have to find either you type the path here directly. You can like um, you click on this button, so there's the location you can type here, or you can use this to search. It doesn't support Windows 10 preference pinned shortcuts for the Explorer. That's unfortunate, but yeah, anyway. You have to come to the 7 days to die directory, and inside this directory is a data folder, and directory folders mean the same thing. So you go to the 7 days to die install folder, which you can find by using Steam. So you can go here on libraries, go to 7 days to die, properties, local files, and then browse local files. So this is the directory where it's installed. So you can click here on the bar, Control Insert or Control C to copy that, and then let me close this and this. I can paste it here. So there I am, and then go into data, and in data go to worlds. Now there is an alternative here, which I wonder if I can go directly here. Which percentage AppData percentage? Does that go? No. So that doesn't work on GIMP. So again, open a browser. In fact, let me, no, that's fine. So click here, percentage AppData percentage. So you can type enter on that. From here, you have to find 7 days to die, enter that, and then generated worlds, enter that. And these are randomly generated worlds you created. So if you want to create a preview for a random seed you generated, you have to do this percentage app data percentage. And then, of course, you choose the world here, and then you can copy this, and you can enter it here. But we are going to do pre-gen03, so this is it. Now, the first file we are going to add, let's show all files, is this one called dtm.raw. Now, if you try to open this file, it's going to give an error saying, oh, you need to install this stuff. No, don't install this stuff. So you do show all files so that dtm.raw is going to be displayed. And then you do select file type. And on select file type, you're going to scroll down and choose raw image data. And the expected extension for this file is data, it's not raw. The raw extension is associated with, is one of them here, this one, Panasonic. So the raw extension is associated with Panasonic, but you want raw image data, whose extension by default is data, but you want that with this DTM raw. So select file type raw image data, and then you can click here again. So it's now, it used to say auto here, now it's showing raw image data. And if you don't have show all files displayed, it's not going to show anything. So that's why you need to have show all files and select dtm.raw. Now, when you open this, you have to fill in a form here. And it gets initialized, I think, with RGB. You need gray unsigned 16-bit little endian. So this is the image file type you need, gray unsigned 16-bit little endian. And you have to place width and height here, okay? You will need these to fill in these values manually because this file here, this DTM raw file, it doesn't have any information about what its content is. So the image type you have to say because it doesn't have that information. The dimensions you have to say because it doesn't have that information. And if you pick the wrong thing here, it's not going to work. So gray unsigned 16-bit little endian, and then you place the dimensions of the map for 8K, 8192. And then open that. And now I have this image, which is the elevation map. So The darker it is, the lower the terrain is, and the lighter it is, the higher the terrain is. But there is one thing, this map is upside down. The DTM raw specifically, it's upside down. So I'm gonna go here on image. So I can select image here and do flip. I can do layer as well. Layer, transform, yeah, layer is preferable. Layer, transform, flip vertically. That guarantees that only this layer is going to be modified. If you have already loaded the other layers, you won't have that issue. Okay, so now this is the way you see in-game. Now I'm going to go here on the DTM raw file here on the corner. I'm going to right click there and I'm going to select duplicate layer, right? I'm going to press F2 here and type elevation to indicate this is the elevation map. And I'm going to click here on the eye to make the DTM raw invisible. I'm going to do this with all the layers. I'll load the file and then I'll duplicate that layer and work on the duplicate and not on the original. So if I need to go back and do stuff again, it's easier. It also helps that I can easily compare one layer with the other, right? Um, so let's start here, go on the next thing. I want to show the histogram, which is already being displayed here on my computer because I chose that before. I did that before, and it remembers what you have. So I want to come here. I think it's tools. Um, or I'm really not seeing. It's not gonna be. Well, maybe colors. Um, colors, yes. So on the colors menu, info, histogram, you select that and it's going to open the window here if you didn't have it before. So um, what you have here is you see there is nothing that is very bright white here. Very bright white would be like Joppa's elevation in the game, 255. Um, so there is nothing in the map that is that high. But we want this map to use as much of the white space as possible so that the elevation changes become more visible when you uh, combine it with other maps or other layers. And we do this by going to colors and the auto menu. And there are a few options available here. Now, equalize is an interesting option that makes every color um, it's gonna make every color as normal as possible. As, as make every color appear as much as every other color. Um, so to make clear what I mean by that, look here at the histogram where there is like some bars here in this section here. Um, so this is where most of the colors are concentrated. Now, if I am to come here and select the colors menu, you can either right click and select colors or can go to the menu, select colors. Select equalize is going to balance every color so that this will have, this will look like about the same height all along. Um, that is an interesting option because on the map, the elevation changes become more perceptible. Um, so let me zoom in here on this thing here. So these balls are where cities are located. Um, these two different colors are basically the roads and the prefabs. They have a slightly different elevation, and it's very visible here if you use equalize. What you don't have on equalize is this very bright terrain is not necessarily terrain that is very high because there is a lot of space here. There is a lot of colors on the high end because the equalization tries to distribute those values as normally as possible. Well, not normally, as equally as possible. So this shows elevation differences very well. You cannot tell what is very high or what is very low very well on this one. So I'm gonna undo this change I made, and instead I'm gonna come here on auto and I'm gonna pick white balance. Now, what white balance does is it ignores the it ignores a little bit of the most dark colors and a little bit of the most bright colors. By a little bit, I mean uh, it uses like 0.5% of the brightest colors or 0.5% of the darkest colors. Um, I see a lot of black here. I don't know if that black is truly black or not. It might be a grayish thing. Um, but if like there is like a lot of black, then it's probably not going to select because it's not going to be 0.5%. So it ignores like the highest elevations, the lowest elevations, just a little bit, and then stretch everything else. So if you look here at the histogram on the side, and I switch from one DTM raw to elevation, you can see how it was like a little bit compressed towards the left side on DTM raw, and after the white balance, it's now stretched along the center. Um, so in this case, the brightest spots are really the highest elevations of the map, and you have a better sense um, of things that are really high or things that are really low than on the other one. So we're gonna keep this, and now we're gonna load our next layer. So I'm gonna open as layers from the same directory, and we don't need all files now. I'm gonna load the biomes. Okay, so open that as a layer, and again I'm gonna duplicate the layer, and I'm gonna click on, I'm gonna press F2 here and give a name, and then remove the previous layer from being visible. And there, I have the biomes. Now, these colors, which you can view on the normal, on the when you say preview map on the game, those are the colors. So this pink thing, pink, orange, it's not quite pink. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know the name of this color, but pinkish color. It's burnt forest. The yellow color or the light yellow is desert, whereas the orange color or the darker yellow is wasteland. Now, one of the things I like to do is to change these colors to be more meaningful. Let me look something here. Oh, look at the wrong thing. Now, the way I do this is right click, go into colors, and then map. And here on map, there is color exchange. So I'm going to pick that. And there is this small dialog here. There is the from color and the to color. And this thing here allows me to pick the color from the map. So there. I'm going to change the Wasteland color. Then I'm not going to pick from the map because the map doesn't have the color I want. So I'm going to click on that other box. I can like pick the color from here, or there's many ways I can pick the color. I have a few. I looked at the in-game map preview and picked a color that is close to that. It doesn't look really very close to me when I place it here, but yeah, I use a color picking tool to check that color, and this is what it gave me. So this is Wasteland. I'm gonna do the OK here. And what I recommend is you click here on Save Current Settings as Name It Preset, and give a name to this, like uh, Wasteland, right? I do actually have these names. So I have Map Wasteland, Map Gravel, Map Burnt Forest. I have all these names. So click here and give it a name and save that so you can reuse it as many times as possible, as every time you want, and not have to write down what this color is exactly. You can like choose the color once, and when you're happy with that, keep that and use it. So I'm going to do that OK, and I'm going to do the same thing with the um, burnt forest. So colors map, color exchange. So click here to pick the color, click on the burnt forest, and then click on the big box for the replacement color. I'm gonna enter the color I have, which is 39, 39, 31. Um, and this is the color. Press OK. Remember to save your settings. Click here on OK. And there are my colors. So now I have my biomes and I have my elevation, but I mean, it's only displaying the biomes. That's because these colors are opaque. And what I can do is, for example, um, hide it so I can see the bottom one or things like that. There is this opacity value. I could like decrease the opacity value here and make it like a little bit transparent. But I'm gonna keep that at 100. What I want to do instead is there's this mode, which is how it's going to combine that. And there are many ways of combining it. And I think that the multiply, which is not actually what I've been using so far, but I think it's when I looked at all the various methods on GIMP, this was my preferred one. So the multiply, it when you have a black and white image, some image with color, the multiply is very effective at making the color as dark or as bright as that black and white image. So that's one I use. So mode multiply opacity 100, and that's it. Now the next step, which is probably the one that most people find most important. So open as layers. I'm gonna select this splat file. So splat3 PNG file. This file is the file that has the roads. So I'm gonna duplicate that. Duplicate layer, where is it? Duplicate layer. And rename this to roads and hide the other one below. Now, you're not seeing any roads on this map. This is an interesting thing. Up here you see layers, channels, and paths. So if you select channels, actually let's first hide the other layers so you only have the roads. Now back here, channels. So if I select channels, you see that there is something on red, something on green, but it doesn't show on the map. That's because the splat file has the roads transparent. So it has a transparent red and a transparent green and a transparent black, but they are all transparent. And because they're transparent, you don't see them. Um, Now, fixing this, from the command line, I can fix this very easily, but it was really hard fixing from GIMP. One obvious, seemingly obvious way of fixing it is going to layers, transparency, and remove alpha channel. Now, of course, you might not find it simple because you don't know what the alpha channel is. The alpha channel is a layer of the image. Well, layer is not the right way to put it. It's, well, they call it channel. So the alpha channel um, is a component of the image that has the how transparent every pixel in the image is. So if I remove the alpha channel from this layer, um, it becomes white. Basically, it becomes this color here, the background color. And it does that for every transparent bit. So this is not what I want. I don't want it replacing the colors with transparent. I don't want it replacing the transparent pixels with the background color. What I want instead is for it to not have anything be transparent. Just preserve the color, the red, green, and blue, but not the alpha, the transparency of each pixel. And it's a little bit tricky, but finally I figured out that the best way of doing it, well, the best way I found was come here and add layer mask and initialize layer mask to transfer layers alpha channel. So what this is going to do is on this layer is going to create a mask, which is usually used to um, edit some parts of the image without changing other parts of the image. So you can do like this transfer layers alpha channel to the mask. Add here, and now you're going to see that there are two things here. One is the mask, and the other is the not mask thing. And what I'm going to do now is, now that it's split, I'm going to click here on the dark one, which is the mask, which has the transparency. And I'm going to do, where is it? Delete layer mask. So I created a mask, moved the transparency to that mask, and now I'm going to delete the mask, which has the transparency. So that the rest is going to have the colors. There you are. Now, these colors might be a little bit strange, this orange thing, but if you zoom in, you see that it's red with green around it. Red is asphalt, green is gravel. Now, I can add back biomes and elevation. and you don't see anything because there's no transparency. And I could do the thing like the change the opacity of it. Let me zoom out. Um, and all the same tricks used to combine biomes with biomes and elevation. But what I want here is to be able to see the roads clearly, but have this black thing be transparent. And the way to do that is you go to layer, and I'm going to create the alpha layer again. So transparency. Oh, I still have the alpha channel. Okay. Am I in the right layer? Yes. So color to alpha, and I'm going to pick the color. I'm going to click here on the back, on the black. And I'm going to do OK. I can also save that, but I find that so easy that I don't bother saving it. And here's the image. So the roads themselves are not darker or lighter. The roads themselves are not tinted with the biome. They preserve their original color, which in my opinion is the best way of visualizing it. The roads also look a little bit weird. I'm gonna do the same color mapping thing. So come to colors, map, and color exchange. And I'm gonna pick the color. So I'm gonna click here on the asphalt road, for example. Click here, and for asphalt, I use CEB584. And again, this is from the in-game map. This is the color it's using. So do the change. You can save that again. Do OK, and it makes the change. And you do the same thing for the gravel roads. So go to map, color exchange. I'm gonna pick here the color, the green thing. Have to select. Maybe you have to be careful not to select more than the square, because if you do so, it's gonna mix two different colors. So zoom in as much as possible to select your color. And then for the gravel road, the value used is 9C8C7B. No, it's 9C8C7B. Should be 7C, right? But no. So that is the color. I give OK and OK. I can zoom out. It is similar to the Asphalt Road color, but that's what the in-game map uses. And I find that having it be familiar helps. Okay. So there you have the roads, the biomes, and the elevation. This is already a pretty good map review. I'm gonna do one more step. Could also do the radiation one, but I won't do that. I don't think the radiation is helpful with these maps, but it's certainly doable. So let me go to the PGN02 map. So there's a bunch of files here. Some of the files were actually created by me when I generated my preview, but other files are not. Now there's a file there called water_info.xml. Now this file has a lot of lines, like over 300,000 lines. Every line, almost every line, all lines except the first and the last, specify water at a particular location. Now, on alpha 17 and alpha 18, all water locations have the same height, which in this case here is this number is the middle number of the position. So it's 43. And I can look at this file. All the lines here have 43 in this position. So the elevation of the water is going to be 43. If you generated the map with nitro, which is a random map generator for 7 Days to Die, that is not 7 Days to Die, it actually uses water sources at different heights. So you cannot do the thing I'm going to do right now. So first I'm going to come here to DTM raw, and I'm going to duplicate this layer again. And this is going to be called water. And I'm going to move this water up here and make it visible. Next, I'm going to come here with the calculator, and I want the percentage of that elevation, 43. So percentage is going to be given as 43 times 100 divided by what the highest elevation is, which is 255. So that's giving me 16.8 something, 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 something. It's funny that I saw a different result. 43 or 44. Oh, right. So the water is at 43, but I need the first known water drowned. So actually I'll have to erase that and instead do 44, which is 43 plus 1, times 100 divided by 255. So I have 17.2, 17.25, something like that. Okay, so on this water layer here, I'm gonna select colors, and I'm gonna select threshold. And this is gonna, let the preview run. This is gonna change the image into black and white. It's gonna change all colors so that they're either black or white. It's gonna change depending on a particular value you place here. And that value, unfortunately, is given as a percentage. So that's why we had that percentage. The calculator here gave us 1725. So we can place here 7. I typed something in the wrong place. 1725. Oh, it only allows 3 digits, so 172. And do OK here. It was doing the preview, but then I pressed OK, and it's now processing threshold here. So I'm gonna have to wait a little bit for it to finish before we go to the last step. All right, it took a little bit to start for some reason. So let me zoom out a little bit here, center the image. Okay. I don't like this. I wanted something a little bit in between, but let's work with this. Okay, so now we have a black and white image, and the black should be water, and the white should be not water. So again, I'm gonna select colors and map, color exchange. And this time I'm gonna pick the black. The watercolor is going to be 73 8cce. So this is the watercolor. I'm just doing the preview thing. I'm changing all colors on the map. I'm gonna cancel the preview here. And press OK. And it's gonna do the color exchange. This one is a little bit longer. It's possible that this slowdown is caused by the fact that I have pre-gen 01 here open. Okay. Now, next thing is I'm going to go to layer. Again, this is something we have done before. Transparency. And now I don't have color to alpha because the DTM file doesn't, which is from where I duplicated this layer, doesn't have alpha. So I have to add the alpha channel. Well, the alpha channel exists, but there is no pixels that are transparent. So I come here, do layer and transparency, and now yes, color to alpha. It defaults to white, so it's not doing the preview. That's why you're not seeing it. Here, okay, this is it. So there you go. This is a preview of pre-gen 03. Should I do, maybe I should do that. Open as layers, select radiation PNG. Okay, and duplicate layer. Make this not visible, change the name here, radiation. Okay, now the radiation layer is much smaller than the map. Is there their attributes? Just click. Well, it has here the size on the preview, 512 by 512. So it's much smaller than 892 by 8192 by 8192. In fact, it's 16 times smaller. What I want to do is layer and transform, not rotation. Layer to image size. This is excellent. Is it doing anything? Didn't seem to do anything. Resize the layer to the size of the image. Change the size of the layer content. Scale layer, layer size, scale. Okay, let me undo this. Right, I'm back to radiation. And this thing on the left side show every action you did, so it's convenient when you want to undo to know exactly where you are. So I want to scale layer. Okay, this is it. The other one I changed the layer size without changing the content size. So change to the same size of the image and do the scale. And now I have radiation. So I could do here I could turn the black thing here into transparent. In fact, I think that's a good idea anyway. Layer, transparency, color to alpha, then pick the black and give OK. But if I don't let it finish, the preview, it gets stuck. I'll be right back. Okay. So the black portion is completely transparent, but you might also find interesting to make the layer itself um, not entirely opaque. Uh, if you have a map that actually has terrain here on the sides, changing the opacity to a lower value will allow you to see that. The downside is that blue plus red, that's pink. So it doesn't look reddish. There's probably modes you can use to combine while preserving the reddishness. But on the other hand, if you do have terrain here, it's not going to be blue. It's going to be another color. So the change will be something else. So now I have the radiation and the water. And we are now going to come here and save. Now it has this XCF file name. I'm going to give it pregen03 as the name. I'm going to do the save. And this XCF is not an image file. It's more like a project file. So if I open this file, I should have all these all this information about the layers so I can further manipulate it. But I would like to have an image. So we're going to do this through the export and then just give pregen03.png to I want to save that on pregen03 actually. I see I saved my file on the wrong folder. There's a bunch of information here. You can just leave it as is. It shouldn't cause any issues. It's gonna take a little bit because what you're seeing on the screen is a sort of preview of the image. And this is actually a very big image that does not fit on the screen if I zoom all the way in. And it's now doing all the layer transformations for each pixel and saving those pixels in the image and compressing and saving them. So it takes a little bit to finish that. All right, so this is now saved. We can come here and I want to go back to pregen03. Go to worlds on pregen03. And now I have this pregen03 PNG file, which is an image file. I can open that. And this is the map preview. I see that it's a very big file. You can probably play with the settings. Well, when you save, you can probably play with the compression settings to get a smaller image. But anyway, this is it. I hope this has been useful to you. Thank you for watching.